Hey, community managers, and welcome to another interview. In this case, we're going to be talking to Leah. She is a community manager at Artivive, and she is also the CMX Connect host here in Vienna. So she's an ambassador there. She loves connecting people. She's extremely passionate about it. And today, she's going to tell us about the work that she's doing as a community manager at Artivive, but also as the CMX Hub, and in general how it is to be a community manager today, because it is not quite clear role. We see as we talk to different community managers that the position tends to change a little bit. Maybe it's within other departments, and the challenges are along the way with all the different departments and areas that the community manager has to deal with. So really excited to have her here today. Leah, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and welcome and hi to everyone who is watching and listening.
Awesome. Can you share with us what is Artivive exactly?
Yeah, of course. So Artivive, it's actually a augmented reality art platform. The whole idea behind the company is that artists can bring augmented reality into their life and into their art in a very easy and quick way, so they don't have to code or anything. And yeah, they are using our content management tool for that, but of course we have also an app that brings our artworks to life, and it's a great tool that, yeah, we have a very large community, like of 130,000 people, even more now. And
Nice.
it's very very nice how many artists are actually, and not even artists, like in general creatives from different industries, are using the platform.
So pretty much, if I create a piece of art, I can add using Artivive. I can add a layer on top of that, and then it creates an interactive experience with augmented reality for the viewer.
Yeah, you in the tool you have to connect an image with like an animation or a video that you've created, and basically when you upload it in our content creation tool, then with the app you can bring it to life, and this way people can, like, the app is completely for free, so anybody can access it, and you can have the experience everywhere.
But I don't need to be physically present in front of the actual art piece. Like it can also be a picture, it can be something, some digital art that then I'm able to interact with, right?
Yeah, of course. Like basically, it works on anything. So, for example, I'm telling this to everybody. Like, you can use even a sticker. You can even use a mural. You can use a digital like page, like on their website. Some people are doing it, during, let's say, lives. They are showing their artworks, and then people are scanning it through via like the live. So basically, you can do it in any way you want.
That sounds really cool. Like for example, if I want to do like a scavenger hunt around the city, like I can scan buildings and then create like instructions around
Yeah,
that building, right? Like so it's
yeah.
not only for me as a creator, but you can pretty much also build a side business using treasure hunts around your city or tour guides and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, exactly. So I've seen a couple of very cool examples. Like, for example, in the UK, there are people who are organizing these scavenger hunts. There are people who are organizing, for example, mural tour guides with augmented reality. For example, in Cairo, we have this very cool project where one artist, she creates like a map in the city center of Cairo with certain street art, and she's bringing it to life and telling the story of the people who live in this area. And it's also a way to educate people and also to yeah, preserve like cultural heritage.
Nice, nice. So it's a actually it's an easier or easy way for anybody that creates something to add a AR layer on top of their piece.
Yeah, basically, because usually, for example, even for me, it's super easy to do it, and I don't have any art technical skills or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I tried using Photoshop once, and it was, yeah, not very successful. So basically, if you have already an image and if you have the video, you can do it in 5 minutes tops.
Cool. Now, community manager, what how do you guys see the community manager role? I mean, what are your responsibilities? Where do you stand? How you guys have structured that?
So what for I love about the company is that basically it was founded with the idea of community. Like it was founded by the perception that actually, in order to keep the company and the tool growing and to bring awareness to augmented reality, we cannot do it by ourselves. We need the community to do it, and we need to take care of this community. So also from the beginning, because the company was founded 2017, I joined 2020. It was always with the idea that the community is the central part, and the community is always under the spotlight. We are not, for example, sharing that much about the company. We are mainly trying to put the focus on our community and on the artists and the creatives within it. And yeah, I think the community management role, like it was actually one of the first ones in the company, which is very interesting because at the time I don't think community management like was that popular. I think it gained more popularity during the pandemic with the start in 2020. But yeah, I think the role shifted a lot during the time, especially also when I came. I started researching a lot and just reading about what are the main responsibilities of community managers, what we can do, because in the beginning it was mainly direct communication to the artists and this technical support, help with social media, of course, and just knowing what is happening within the community, but not so much thinking of how we can bring the additional value to it.
Was there a community manager
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
company before you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So basically, there were a couple of community managers, I think. And yeah, the whole idea was that they were mainly taking care of the communication. When, for example, artists have inquiries, they are answering them, of course, helping them in any way. But for me, when I came, I think in the first 6 months, I was trying to do this also. But then at some point, I asked myself, what is this role about? Like, what can I bring more into the community? What can I help? With what can I help our community so that they can also grow with us?
So technically, you had a more of a customer support
Yeah, yeah.
role in the
Yeah, I
beginning.
think yeah, a lot of community managers are actually facing that, especially in the beginning, especially if you are working in a startup. Basically, community management is very related to the customer support because also you're getting a lot of feedback about product and services from the community. So you have to be a bit aware of what is happening when it comes to this customer support and the issues or like the inquiries that people are having so that you can also know how to adapt your community experience to it.
Yeah, so it starts more on providing that support answers and showing that you're there for them so that they can succeed using the tool. And then I guess little by little you start creating content, you start making it easier for them to find that content, and obviously the ultimate is connecting the users between them.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
And how was that evolution? So, I mean, what kind of challenges did you encounter in the very beginning? What made you think, like, as you were saying, okay, I need to do something more than just this?
Yeah, for me, like because I was just super curious to find out a bit like about the community industry and like what other people are doing. So I started researching and reading a lot, and I realized that yeah, we have a strong community. We have people who are coming back to us, are promoting us and everything. But I found this gap of like I want to give them something more than just the service that we have and the product. I want to give them like an experience and like also this place where they can connect with one another, they can collaborate and they can yeah continue growing and expanding the community because we can do it also like we can continue finding new people and yeah like just spreading around about Artivive. But I feel that when it comes from the community the growth is more organic and it feels more natural and it's also better growth, like it's totally different experience. So that's why I was thinking how can I create an experience for the users and the community so that they can yeah, not only come to us so that they use this content management tool that we have, but they come to us for this additional experience.
But did you have immediate buy-in from your boss, like from the founders? I mean, did they see potential immediately on that?
Yeah, so basically, as I mentioned, like the company is totally found on the idea of community. So when I came after I was settled a bit in the company, we saw um, there was this Facebook group that we had, but it was super like inactive. Nobody was posting there. Nothing was happening. So I was okay. I'll take a bit of a yeah, more responsibility to maintain this group. So I started creating more content, bringing people into the group, interacting with them there, so that I slowly create also this space where people know, okay, for example, if I have a question and let's say the support is not answering, I can go and ask the community there. So I slowly started bringing more and more people into this space. I think when I got into the group, it was with 400 people, something like this, and now we have almost 2,500. So
Okay.
it grew a lot for like I think 1 year and something, 3 months.
Do you think these are new users, or these were users there that now found out that there's a Facebook group and see that there is extra support?
I think they were both because when I decided to take a bit more, like to go into more a bit like creating this community experience, I also signed up for a course that I did for community management, and there I did a totally different, like my whole perception of community management changed.
Which course?
It was by Carrie Melissa Jones. It's about engaging online communities, something
Hmm.
like this. So I totally recommend it for everybody because even if you have already a community, even if you plan to launch a community, it make you start from the beginning so that you reconsider and really think about what is this community bringing for you and why you should engage with it. And yeah, when I started with it and I was doing more of the exercises there, I started also sharing more about the group, like in emails, in people for people who are now joining or for people who are already part of our community, so that they know about this group and they can come there.
But what do you think is the biggest challenge? Because you come in, the company is 3 years in. There is a Facebook group with
Mhm.
400 people, but why these things that you are implementing were not implemented before? Why would you think that is?
Yeah, I think the first and like yeah, that was also my big first challenge when I came. Is like what exactly is the role about?
Mm.
As you mentioned, like because now a lot of people are defining community management in very different ways. Sometimes it's about more social media, sometimes it's customer support or like content creation or event management even. So I think the first and the biggest challenge when you come and when you start with communities to really think of what is my role, what are the responsibilities, and what should I take care of. So everything is combined, like more or less you'll be doing social media, you'll be doing event management, you'll be doing customer support, but I feel that it's not, you cannot define it in one of those terms. You have to bring from each of them like something small so that you can build this community management role.
Yeah, and
um,
that took a while to figure out.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
especially you have to know that there is a lot. Like now, the community professionals industry is growing a lot, and that there is a lot to discover. So, if you want to start with community management, you have to be very also curious and open to learn, to try new things, to yeah, go to places that you thought that you're not going to go. For example, even if you thought that it would be mainly social media, maybe you'll be doing much more than that, and you have to gain new skills and to develop those skills. So it's a very challenging thing in the beginning when you start with it and you have to self-define it. If you're, for example, coming into a company when it's not that defined, of course, if you're joining a bigger organization where there is a community team and everything is very structured, you'll be feeling a bit more stable and you know what you're doing. But when it's like something as this, like an initial role, and when it's in a company which is not very clear, also like what exactly community management is and what you should do, I think this is the biggest and the first challenge.
So you definitely have to be flexible in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. And open to what is coming and willing to put yourself out of your comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, a lot, like constantly. It's yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a job that you're always outside of your comfort zone. Like
Yeah.
it's not so, you cannot find yourself in a comfort zone there.
I mean, you're building it from scratch in a way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But now, okay, so you started with 400 people, not a clear role, and you had a more customer support focus.
Hmm.
Now you have a community, 2,000 people. You're doing stuff on Instagram, you're on
Hmm.
Facebook. I mean, how was the process to get there? So you did this course, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens next? Like, did you develop a strategy? So
Hmm.
please tell us a little bit about the strategy,
Hmm.
how you went at it, and especially what were some assumptions that you had, like things that completely went a whole different way from what you were expecting.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what was very important for me and when I learned, for example, during the course, first of all, you really have to define the goal that you're setting and the purpose that the community is having. So, let's say you are a business and you want to create a community around your product or service, but then what is the goal behind this community? Like, is it something that do you want it to be like for support? Do you want it to be about your product? Do you want to be like for people who are advocates for your product or service? So, you have to really define the goal of the community and also this is something that I feel that is very important and a lot of companies are missing. You have to realize that the community is not so much about you, but it's about itself. So basically, you have to really think of, okay, we have these goals, but like if we decide to create a community just to get more revenue and then you're focusing only on that, but you're not focusing on the so-called community health, then it will be super like um yeah like just it will be very on the surface, like you won't be diving deep into the community experience. So really have to think of like first of all what is the community about, like what is the purpose of this community and like what is the goal behind it, and then why we should do it for our community. So actually are your users needing this community? Because for example there are certain products, there are certain brands and companies, they have a super large user base but they don't have communities, and it's just because they don't need it, and maybe people don't find the value of being part of a community, for example. Like, so you have to really think about if your user base and if your clients will really interact in and will really like being part of a community, if they really need this, because otherwise you're also just losing time and energy into building something that won't be beneficial for them.
But how can I know this? Like, let's imagine I'm a founder. I have a SaaS company.
Hmm.
I've been researching a little bit about a community. Like, should we have something? Like, how do I know if we should have something? Like, where do you see what kind of businesses or what kind of products do you see that community is a great asset and really adds a lot of value to the overall experience, users, company?
To be honest, for me, everything
Of course.
can be, yeah, like I cannot say this company won't benefit from a community. I think you can build community around every service and every product, but how you can find out if you actually need the communities, basically reach out to people and ask them. So this one was one of the things that I did. I reached out to all of the whole community that we had. Of course, you can do this even if you don't have community. Maybe just for some people who are, yeah, who are more or less your target, and just ask them like, what are your goals? What are your challenges? Do you think community would be beneficial? What would you expect from a community? So just get this feedback from them so that you can really assess if they need this, because otherwise, yeah, if you won't know until you ask. Like you cannot answer from there. Yeah.
Yeah. But don't you think that they're going to say, yes, of course, a community will be great?
No, no, not
No?
everybody. Like I did receive a lot of answers that were like, I think I don't need to be part of a community right now. And it's totally fine. Like it's community is also for members. It's also something that you need to be very like not to be active, but if you decide to be part of a community, it's something that you know it's there. So you have to be sure that people are ready to participate. So it's like a bit of a something on their to-do list. For example, if I'm part of some community, maybe I won't be such an active member, but I will know that I have this community and I would like to engage from time to time. So they
Hmm.
have to be prepared for that. And there are people who are just not I don't want to invest this time, I don't want to invest this energy, I want to focus on something else. And this is okay because at the end of the day, not everyone who is your client can be part of a community, and it's very important to understand the difference that you have your clients on your user base and you have your community, and community is actually these users who want to participate and who want to build this more personal and more close relationship with you.
And still, you could have people who are not part of the community and be super engaged
Yeah,
with your product, right?
yeah, with the product. Yeah, so this is basically also something that, as I mentioned, like you should really define what is the purpose of the community. So let's say, for example, if you see that there are people who are very active in advocating your product, maybe to be a community of advocates. So basically, maybe to be only community of people who want to promote your product, and that's fine. You're building the connection only with these people, and it can be 10 people, and it will be super close little community, but it will be still something that you're building more value for these people. And yeah, they're actually like from because I'm also, as you mentioned, part of the CMX Connect yeah, program, and one of their resources in the guide for building communities, CMX is defining seven types of communities. So basically, you have communities around services and products.
What is CMX?
CMX, sorry, yeah. CMX is community for community builders. So
Hmm.
basically, this is our home. Yeah, like if you start with the community management role, I think 90% of people they know about CMX. They go to CMX events. They engage. CMX have a Facebook group. They have also Slack channel. So it's basically a place where you can meet other community professionals. You can yeah, participate in their programs or events. They organize summits. You can also get a lot of resources from them, like about community building. So for me, they're one of the first places you have to go if you want to start with communities. They're definitely, I think, the biggest pool with information at the moment.
And you were
Um,
mentioning these 7 communities.
yeah. So yeah, for the seven communities, you have support communities, you have product communities, advocate communities, you have content communities, engagement, and also success communities. And basically, those are the types that they defined. And of course, each community can be a mixture of this, but you can also use this as a just as an idea. Okay, what is our community about? So let's say it's a content community. Let's say you are a company that needs to have a lot of user generated content. So your community will revolve around that. How we can create this batch of people who will create this content for us so that we don't lose the time for that. So you really need to think of exactly what is your goal and to know what the community is. Of course, the community can develop in a totally different direction in some point, but at the beginning you really need to define this, in my opinion.
Now, one of the biggest challenges I've seen is that how do you measure this impact, right? Like I'm thinking from the business owner perspective. Yeah, like I'm investing, all these resources in building the community and providing value and like fulfilling our mission. But is it really working? I mean, is there like can we get the same results strategically with ads? I don't know.
Yeah,
So how that's a common thing that I've seen that community managers really struggle, and
yeah.
is to measure that impact. How have you managed this?
Yeah, basically, I think this is actually I wanted to mention it also. One of the biggest challenges is how you measure the value of your community, because at some point, you the executive will come and ask you, okay, what are they bringing us? And of course, you can, for example, measure things like who is registering. Let's say in if you decide to create a paid community, who is paying for the community. So conversion rate. You can, if it's a free community, who is joining the community and then they're using your product and maybe subscribing for a product. So again, tracking this. But I think with community, more the biggest and the more important metrics are the qualitative ones. So basically, for example, the quality of the conversation. So are people engaging in the community space? Let's say, are they posting enough? Are they commenting? also another thing that you can measure is the connections they're building. So, for example, from time to time, maybe you can have a check-in with the community. Have they met somebody in the community? Have they created something with them? Another thing that you can measure is people who are coming to your events, people who are creating their own events. Um, so yeah, there are a lot of different things you can track. I think this also is very important for you to define internally, like what is the goal of the community. Like when you know what the community should bring, then you should know what to track. For example, with the example I given, like if it's a content community, so you should track how many, let's say, tutorials are recorded on a monthly basis. If it's like a product community, you should track maybe how many feedbacks they are giving you, and maybe if these feedbacks are not enough, what you can do so that you can bring more feedback from them. So basically, when you define this purpose, which is the most important thing, and you should always go back to this purpose, then from this purpose everything else goes.
Hmm. And in your experience, since you started seeing the engagement and the growth of the community, what would you say have been the biggest benefits for Artivive?
Yeah, I think for us, in my, like in the time when I started with the Facebook group and with, yeah, creating more engagement, creating more content, just also focusing a lot on events. So basically, right now we also have a lot of community events. I think for us the biggest value came with that we see that even more people came. So there was the raising brand awareness. We are seeing that there are a lot more people who are building this more personal connection. So the loyalty is also increasing in the community. We see that people are collaborating. So I see a lot of artists who are getting to know each other from different events or in the Facebook group or on our Discord. So basically, and then they're starting to collaborate. So we slowly see how the community is growing. And of course, these people who are using, like who are part of the community and who are loyal of our product, eventually they also decide to subscribe and use our monthly plans. So basically, we see slowly this growth. Of course, there are challenges, and we always have to think about, yeah, how to not go into too much of following, like just yeah, following some and trying to reach some monetary goals, but also how to keep this community health. So I'm always even asking like what the community is needing, what they're missing. Let's say now, for example, we started doing many workshops recently. So what kind of workshops they want to see from us, because the workshops are also bringing revenue for us, but we don't want to do workshops that are not useful for them. So
Hmm.
basically, I think it's very important to always keep this two-way communication and to be very open for their feedback, even if it's not the feedback that you're expecting, even if sometimes it's a bit of a criticism, if it's something that, I've been trying some things and they just don't like them. And I'm like, okay, like I would have loved them, but it's not about me, it's about the community. So you have to be always very open. And I think you have to not take things personally, because at the end of the day, you're doing this also mainly for them. And when you're doing it for them, you should be open just to take everything that comes from their opinion, and yeah, don't try to control everything so much. Of course you have to control a bit, but you have to be very flowing and flexible.
Yeah, and I think overall as well, like it adds a layer of value to use your tool, obviously.
Yeah,
So it becomes part of the product
yeah,
when I join and download it and start using it. Um, it comes with a community,
yeah,
and I guess it also builds trust. And because it gives me the feeling that you are here thinking long term, and that also you're established, and therefore there is a community. So
yeah.
um, great. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. And I would like to ask you actually, if I am a community manager, where can I go for more resources where I can
Mhm.
improve my craft, my skills, and my community?
Yeah, that's a great question and very important one. So yeah, as I mentioned, CMX is a very good place. Another thing that I would recommend is checking Lana Zeleniev. She's a community builder and community facilitator. She has this community alchemy program, but she's also hosting free events. So also something that you should check out. Of course, Carrie Melissa Jones. For me, she's doing a great job, like her course, but also just the content she's posting online. Also check Talkbase, their recently launched community for community builders as well. Community Roundtable is a great resource. Also the Community Club. So these are just places where you can find other community managers, but also resources. Um, and yeah, just like maybe some names that come to my mind are John Bacon. I think everybody knows about him, or at least I hope the people who are listening they know about him. So you have to check his books
Or
as
maybe
well.
not, and now they're discovering something new.
Yeah, yeah, but I think he's the father of community management. So like, it's something that you should know. Like even when you start researching community management, he will pop up for sure. Also Richard Millington. So both of them they're super like, yeah, I think they've created a lot about the
Yeah.
community industry. David Spinks also here from CMX. Although he recently shared that he's withdrawing from CMX, but still you should follow him because he has great insights. And yeah, another great resource is I forgot to mention Disciple. They're also like community for community managers. So yeah, these are just some the places where I most go. Of course, there are a lot of new like blogs and YouTube channels,
Yeah.
podcasts you
Yeah.
can research. There are a lot new things coming. I'm
It is
subscribed.
growing. The community
Yeah,
is growing.
yeah. It's growing rapidly, so it's definitely something that people need to be aware of and yeah, think of should I go into that direction.
Now, do community managers, are they good members? I mean, you're part of a community, obviously, with other community managers. Are you guys good members? Because I'm wondering, like you all
Yes.
have this struggle of like, oh, people are not commenting, they're not sharing by themselves, and so on. And like, then I go to a community management Facebook group,
Mhm.
and like there are always like 5 people sharing, so it's the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, community managers are also humans, so we are not always so so engaged. But I feel, for example, to be honest, sometimes when I'm interacting in some community spaces, because I know how bad is it when
You feel the
somebody,
urge that
yeah,
you have to share.
I will just share something because I know how bad it is when nobody is sharing. So I feel that we're a bit more compassionate in that direction. Of course, not like sometimes I'm not engaging in the community spaces for a long time because I have my other things to do. But in general I see that also for community managers it's important to be part of communities because
Mm,
you're in the other like in on the other seat and you see what people are doing and and you feel the experience as a member, so you actually can know what to bring to your members. So it's a bit this funnel that it's like
yeah.
this chain that is going from one place to other.
Great. Thank you, Leah, so much for your
Yeah,
time and for stopping by and sharing your insights. It's definitely quite interesting what you guys are doing, not only Artivive as a company, but also you and how you are working with the community to engage and bring value. I see that you are indeed very passionate about bringing people together and providing value to them. And so, obviously, I mean, there is a business and there are goals, but I see how you are above that and actually really going out of your way to make sure that people are not only using the tool, but you understand that these are creative people, that this tool adds value to their business, to their life, and also the way that people consume their art, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I think it's really cool, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, for those that would like to get more info about you, connect with you, where should they go?
yeah. First, thank you for inviting me in for the chat. It was very cool. And yeah, for people who want to connect, you can just find me on LinkedIn. I think this is the easiest way. So it's Leah Mladenova again. Um, and yeah, also you can follow our account, I would say, because you can see what we are doing a bit like for the community there. But if you personally want to connect with me, you can follow me on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Perfect. And for you who is watching right now, if you would like to get more interviews, more videos, and content like this, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get our new videos. And if you're a community manager or a SaaS tech founder, and you're thinking of launching a virtual event, but you're not sure where to get started, you're overwhelmed, you don't know how to put it all together, then feel free to book a strategy call with us, because we at BScene have launched a program that will take you by the hand, helping you plan, prepare, and produce a virtual event within our program. So go ahead and check it out. Just go to bscenelife.com/book. Book a time with one of our experts, probably with me or somebody else in the team. Then fill in the application, and then we'll go and jump on your strategy call to see how you can make that a reality. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in future episodes. All the best. My name is Juan Guerra, and I'm the founder of BC in Life.
Bye. Thank you.